Hey, soul survivors, we're going to talk about the mental illness that's going on in America and the school shootings. What is going on? I know a lot of people are on either sides of the fence as far as gun laws, but as far as the mental illness, that's what this video is about. Regardless if people have guns, the mental illness also affects it. So we're looking at that aspect. I just got done watching the body cam video of the shooting in Nashville. I lived in Nashville for a while. I worked at Nashville Institute of Technology in Nashville, and there was a murder 20 minutes after I left on the sixth day that I worked there in the parking lot, 200 feet from my car. And now we had this school shooting. I'm a teacher, and the beautiful kids, and I just saw what the police did. I know some people get angry at the police, but police do help us as well. And those guys were fearless, and they hear shots and they still go forward. The mental knowledge and strength that they need at that time. And the lady was she was a lady that transitioned into a man. She was 28 years old, and in a letter that she had, um, it it said that she meant to kill people, and that she herself was hoping to die by suicide. So it was pre-planned that she wanted to give up her life. And, I don't encourage people to commit suicide, but if that's your mission, um, you know, um, it's sad that they take others, innocent victims, and it didn't seem to be targeted at those people. So mental illness, um, you know, we have to handle it in the right kind of way, or we're going to get more and more of this. The cost of insurance and how many visits you're even allowed a year, or inpatient rehab or stigmatization, and time off of work to go to appointments. And do people get support from their families? Do they understand? And I know a lot of people that want karma to come back on the person that did them wrong, but we have to be careful on that. Let that unfold on its own instead of instigating it and forcing it to happen, because there are trickle down effects of that. So I feel when we, don't want to deal with somebody, that we at least acknowledge it, set the boundaries, and if it gets too bad, get law enforcement, unless it's extremely dangerous. There are times that you need law enforcement right away or to be protected. And, sometimes going into hiding, things like that, to make your game plan. But with the mental illness, it's there's a cause, a cause to it. And we have to start teaching people how to talk to people, how to communicate. That's what a lot of the stuff does, is how sometimes people misinterpret things, or they feel that they're not being heard. And we all need to express ourselves. We don't all have to agree, but when we hear what people are saying, we can help them think through. But unfortunately, with how bad the triggers go, and the lack of communication within their own brain, that it's leading to more damage and more loneliness and more frustration, and people are losing their lives. you know um Religion, it was a religious school. Where do we go to feel safe? And my friend was murdered 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks or I'm sorry, 2 weeks and a day ago, by her husband. And you just hear all these stories. I had a story. I was just hanging out with my neighbor, and his friend came over, and he was shot in the throat. He was trying to protect another friend, and two of them were shot. One was killed, and I don't know if the girl was killed too. I think she was alive too, but I know he had said, I've never talked about that. And that's a traumatic event that he went through. And my neighbor wasn't really listening. My neighbor wanted to interject, and it was inappropriate. This man finally felt comfortable to talk to someone. And it was a very long story, but he finally opened up. And I was listening, and the other person wasn't. And he finally said to the other guy, like, dude, like I almost like he coded a couple times on the table, coded on the table and then coded during transport to another hospital that, there are times we have to take time for people. And I'm not saying he had a mental illness, but I'm sure he had CPTSD from that, or depression, anxiety. Had a trach, doesn't talk the right way. And as a loving society, we can get rid of a lot of mental illness, a lot. Get rid of the judging. It's not up to us to judge people. And I started thinking about that, religiously, they tell you not to judge people. He who hasn't sinned cast the first stone, and it's all like, oh, we all sinned. But there are times you have to evaluate the situation. So in a sense, it's a judging kind of thing, but it's also an evaluation. It's not saying that whether that person should live or die, or how to interact with how their life is going to be handled, but there are times we have to keep ourselves safe. So aside from the gun laws, that's not what this is about. This is about the mental illness and the devastation it's causing, because now we have these families that have been traumatized. So are they going to care for any possible siblings of the children that were lost as loving as they could? Because now some of their cup has been drained, and they have to rebuild that before they can give. So, support groups are great. We've gone through some traumas ourselves, and I do have a live chat if you guys want to talk, have your feelings validated. Sometimes we just want to be heard, and it's scary out there. We can help people as much as we can, but we have to also protect ourselves. And, when people take the time to heal, healing is possible, but it can be painful. It means letting go of a lot of things. And you get to that point of acceptance when you let go of the anger and accept what is. A lot of us live in the past. We have regrets, or we hated this about our life, or, why didn't this turn out this way? And I just see all over Facebook how many people are sad, that people are really struggling. And, instead of superficial likes that you get on Facebook, that you connect with people. And, if you're an influencer or a YouTuber, TikTok, or whatever you are, that you don't fall into it where that's your identity, or you have to do it for likes. Um, we're addicted to our phones, and, we're messing with our dopamine levels and the stimulation that we need. So when we don't get that, we get a depression or an anxiety. People stress out. I can't remember, it was like 11 to 15%, and people freak out on their battery life of their phone, that people aren't enjoying life as much as they can because they're always tied to an electronic device. So what was interesting to me, and it's, I know this lady was transgendering into a man. I don't know the full story on that, but it's unique to have a female shooter, but there's also those hormones that we're going through, is my assumption, if she's transitioning. But, aggression and needs for outlets, that we have all these desk jobs. We're tied to our jobs. Are we getting the physical activity that we need? That releases some anger and aggression. Americans, are we exercising like we should? I don't know where you guys are from. I'm from America, but preservatives in our food, are we eating things that are healthy for us? And I know that physically they've been changing genital sizes, breast sizes, height, body fat in our youth. That is it doing something to their brains as well? I know that red color, I'm not sure if it's number 40, but red coloring, that a lot of kids react to that in a negative way. They get like ADHD from a food coloring and all the pesticides that we have and the adjustments we're trying to make and trying to make everybody inclusive and also people trying to be individual and I just feel so taken back on how violent we're getting. We're not at war as far as like this kind of situation, but she was at war within herself and she knew what she wanted to do to herself. There is 988 if you struggle with suicidal tendencies, people can help you, but she was struggling. But she also wanted to take people with her. And part of it is, I think, the setup. She didn't want to do it herself. She wanted to put the blame on the officers. So now these officers are going to go through whatever, and hopefully they're strong enough. Officers see a lot of things, but when you actually pull the trigger, that's profound. And are they going to deal with some mental illness that's going to trickle down into maybe causing a divorce and then those children have a separated family? It's just this whole snowball of things that we need to, as a teacher, we need to teach uh, empathy building things. And as I am in the school system, we have a very good school system, but the kids are better behaved, but there's still trauma. And it's amazing how much trauma that these young kids have gone through. But when you start getting in the mental illness state, your brain doesn't function the same way. It kind of functions as a child. And, when I try to talk to these children, they're either stubborn, I don't want to apologize, or I don't care, or so what, I bumped them, or they only see it, did you push her? And they pushed first, but they're like, no, but she pushed me. And they don't want to take it step by step to break it down. And people go on the defensive. And there's got to be a way that we can teach each other to love each other, to build each other up. But once certain people get to a certain point that, um, you know, what are the solutions if they're not willing to get help? They've given up on themselves. Once they start giving up on themselves, she gave up on herself. And if I'm saying, I should be saying he, I apologize for that. But I'm going to say she, not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know how to address it because it's both ways and I don't know her. Um, and you see pictures from her high school time or school time, but she gave up on herself. And look what she did because she gave up on herself. If she still believed in herself or had a purpose, whether it was an animal or it's kind of a blessing. I don't know if she has children, but if she held on to the purpose, a lot of us need a purpose in life and we get lost without that purpose. So healing ourselves leads us to be more compassionate and just watching that is, we affect each other. And I hope me reaching out to you today, um, that we reach out to our family members and try to talk to them before it's too late. And I just wish people wouldn't give up on themselves. So if you're struggling, don't give up on yourself. Don't lose faith in the power that you have to change your life. She chose the wrong path. She could have sought help or rebuilt herself somehow, but society, is stressful. But I'd like to give a quick moment of silence for all the victims from Nashville to all the other places. So if you'll join me. Thank you.